Hey there, and welcome to the Business of Business podcast. Here we are two daughters and their dad, seeking to inspire and educate you to follow your dreams of being in business by teaching you the business of being in business. The good, the bad, the humor are all parts of our unique perspective as an entrepreneurial family. Thanks for joining us. So grab a coffee, turn up the volume. Here we go. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Business of Business podcast, Two Daughters and Their Dad. I'm your host, Staci J. Dempsey. The J is very important. Why? Say it with me, because it brings all the joy. Good afternoon to the dad and the other daughter, Jack and Jennifer Dempsey. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Maybe it's still morning. I don't know. I'm not sure. Wherever you are, it's morning or it's going to be afternoon soon enough. So welcome to all of our listeners. Today, we want to talk about, as Jennifer would call, a very on-trend topic and a very important topic, and that is how hiring is so very difficult right now for our businesses. All businesses, at least as I'm moving about in the world, all businesses seem to be needing to hire people and really having the challenge with that. And I know, Jennifer, you have just recently been experiencing the hiring process and trying to find some new individuals for some different positions. So, and certainly Jack, over the years, I think you've hired a few people, right?
Yes, a few.
Just a few. So Jennifer, why don't we start with you? Why don't you share with us maybe your thoughts on, the challenge of hiring right now and some ideas that you have?
Yeah, so it is, a time that I've never seen before, moving around in life. I'm noticing that pretty much every business that you're going into, that you're going by, has a now hiring sign on their building. I noticed it at the post office yesterday, and it hit me like, I would think that working at a post office is one of those like good jobs that they shouldn't have to like market for. They just have a ton of people that always want to work for them. So I want to say for our business, COVID, coming back off of those 3 months when the salon was closed, since then I've been hiring or trying to hire very aggressively. And I'll be honest with you guys, when we were able to get back into the beauty schools, we have a relationship with the beauty schools, go in, teach classes, really trying to recruit from there. And I've spent hundreds of dollars on Indeed. And just recently, we've seen a ton of applications coming into my business, doing a lot of hiring and unfortunately a lot of firing. But, we're navigating it. And I had an experience yesterday where I interviewed, a new potential employee. And the first thing that I noticed was that she was asking for $17 an hour. And, it got me thinking about how do we compete with other businesses that are now, offering such a higher rate than we ever have, especially in my industry that I've ever seen. So I guess that I want to start kind of with that question and hear what you guys are thinking about that. How are businesses competing with, all the promotions that, I see, sign-on bonuses? I mean, that's been something going on in the salon culture forever. But I haven't necessarily seen other businesses, or maybe I wasn't noticing, sign-on bonuses, higher wages to start with no experience, no schooling, no trade school, nothing. Just, we're paying minimum wage right now in New Jersey is $12. It's going up to $13 in January. It's going to go up to $15 over the next few years. So, how are we competing with all of that?
Well, I mean, it is definitely a time that I certainly haven't experienced. I think a few years ago, we had, a strong job market, coming into 2017, 2018. I mean, I remember then seeing more help wanted signs than I think I've ever seen before. And, but this is different, because then it seemed like it was coming out of that the economy was really starting to get stronger and businesses were hiring. This seems different. I mean, this seems to be more of where people are just holding back. They're not jumping back into the workforce coming out of, the pandemic. It's just different. So I don't know if I can, put my finger on it, but it does seem different than a few years ago. So, so how to compete? I think I think you have to just really look at your business. We've talked about, how to hire, and first you have to really say, okay, what kind of business am I in? Am I in a business where I can bring people in? It's going to be minimum wage. I know I'm going to experience turnover, so maybe like a fast food restaurant or convenience store, so what kind of workforce you're dealing with. So, so you kind of have to then figure that out. Now, in your business, Jen, and my business, we're not in that. We need, for the most part, we need people who can, first of all, get accreditation, licensing. They need to have some kind of educational requirement in order to come in, so, now we just shrunk the pool down some more. And so when we're looking at what we feel like we can afford in terms of, hiring and paying someone, now we're out there competing with, sometimes higher wages, better benefit packages, so I think you just have to get back to really vision for your business vision. And, it's going to be harder, but really hone your message for, where your business is going, where you see it going. And then just be right up front with people. Say, listen, I can't compete right now, with probably some of the things that you're looking at, but here's what I can tell you. And then you go right into the vision of your business and the mission of your business and where you see your business, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, and then try to equate that with, a career track that, the person you're interviewing can then step into and be part of that growth, and really sell that and sell how, because of that growth, you're going to be in a position to be in a much better place 5 years from now than where you would be if you took something a little bit higher somewhere else 5 years from now. And also, I'm going to invest in you. I think that's another message, because, clearly money's important to people, because they have to pay their bills, take care of their families, do all that. But I think the other thing we're seeing is, and we're experiencing it, is people are looking for other things beyond just, income, So maybe if you're in a position where you can provide some level of flexibility in the schedule, their work schedule, or, remote working, things like that, that can be a strong benefit to someone, that they're willing to give up something on the salary or per hour side to have that flexibility. Or they want to feel like they are part of something that the business is investing back in them to grow them, that they would feel like, and so being able to sell to somebody, hey, listen, we're going to invest back in you so that you can grow in the mastery of your position and what future positions will look like, within our organization. So, you really but you got to sit down and really think that through and what that looks like. And so when you have that strong candidate that you really want to bring into your business, but you can't really compete today, being able to communicate that mission very clearly and concisely, I think will win the day in some cases.
Jen, why don't you share with our listeners, to Jack's point about, sharing some vision on, you said this, the person that, was coming in and requesting, a certain amount of money, but that wasn't financially something you can do. Why don't you share with our listeners that experience of how you sold your vision to them?
Well, and I just think right now, any candidate or anyone that you're looking to hire is now having an expectation that they want more money, right? Like, just because of what is going on in the world, they're not going to settle for minimum wage. So yeah, I had a great conversation, and again, she came in wanting $17 an hour. But right after she told me that, she's told me how unhappy she is in her current workplace, and that, everyone that she works there has been there for 10 years, but they're unhappy. They have no passion left. They tell her that they're broke, that they're not making any money. So she just doesn't even want to be in an environment like that. So that was a great opportunity for me to explain really, our culture inside of my business and our salon, and what we have going on and what we truly have to offer. And again, my ideal newer employee is someone that's right out of school. So the benefits far outweigh, a whole bunch of money. And I agree with you, Dad. I mean, money is important, but it's not everything. So if you're just shoving money down people's throat, no one is going to be happy, 100% happy with that. I mean, you just have to envision, if you're going into work every day doing the same thing over and over and over again, not being challenged, not being pushed, not really having any benefits, you can imagine how, the culture of your business is going to start to suffer from that. So we had a great conversation. Obviously, she already Googled me, so she already knew what I was about. But just to be able to have that conversation of what we have to offer, she really didn't mind taking a pay cut, to be able to see the long-term vision. And I think that's something else that we're struggling with. We live in such a world of instant gratification, and you really have to explain to your employees, or even people that you're looking to hire, is that, at least for me in our career path, we are not in the position of instant gratification. We're just not. So to have a strong commitment to your vision and be able to communicate that, listen, we might have to take it one step backwards right now, but the benefit in the future is going to be well worth your while. So, and it's funny, and this is what I keep saying to myself, you have to make it absolutely insanity for someone to not want to work with you, right? Like, it's absolutely crazy that you would not want to join my team. Like, we have the best culture, the best business, that's what people want to hear. That's what people want to know. They want to know, okay, what are you going to do for me? Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. So, that's really been my mindset lately, is how can I portray that it's just crazy for you not to, why would you want to go work over there? That's crazy.
Right.
You belong here with us. So.
Well, that's a good point, because, and you brought up that word culture, and that is another critical piece of that, in terms of attracting people. And what's neat is that, because of technology, you can put your culture on display.
Right.
Before technology, nobody could really see a culture until they were, came to work for you. Then they could talk about it. They could talk about it to other people, saying, wow, I'm in a great place. They're very supportive. They really invest in me. They really care about me, all those things. now with social media, if you're not promoting not only your business but the culture of your business, because like you said,
Yeah.
the lady that you interviewed, she already Googled you. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah.
Right.
Instagram, Google, all the things.
Right. So, so again, she already had a sense of your culture. So, we talk about this quite often. We can use social media to market, our output, whatever product or whatever we're happen to be, trying to move out into the marketplace. But if you can also use social media to promote your culture, let people see inside your business a little bit, let them see inside, the birthdays and the anniversaries and and the celebrations of your business, and all these things, when people come to then say, I'm interested in being part of your team, that culture can be on display. And that's huge. And so
I think that's a major key. That's so, so, so important, because we talk about that on the podcast all the time, how to use social media to the fullest. And so when someone is looking you up on Facebook or Instagram, they not only want to see your work, right? Whatever you're selling. They want to see your team meetings. They want to see that you do fundraising. This is a beautiful opportunity to see a snapshot of really what your business represents. And that's, as an owner or whoever your social media person is inside your business, that's their responsibility, is to get all of that information out there without it, being overwhelming. So if you're looking on some like, wow, okay, that they're donating, they're having fundraisers, they're having team meetings, someone got a promotion, they're taking, they're happy. This looks like a place where I could really fit in, grow, and be a part of something bigger than myself. And that's why we've said so many times, if you're not on social media, you're getting left behind, because the businesses that are on social media are going to take all of your employees or your potential employees just because they're posting on social media.
The other thing too is, with culture. I mean, I read this somewhere, and I don't know if I have it quite right, but the quote that I read was, "Culture will manage your business absence of leadership." So, meaning that if you have an effective culture, even us as leaders can step away because we've built a culture. People know what to do. They know how to operate, within, the culture of your business, and it will continue. So the reason I bring that up is because, people are not only having a challenge hiring people to handle growth. It's hard to replace people. I know, again, you see, I've had two, annual physicals canceled from my doctor just because they're having a hard time, getting a nurse to come in. And it wasn't because they were shorthanded. It's because the nurse they had, had an unexpected health issue now that's taken them out. So now, we never know when somebody is not going to be able to show up the next day, whether it's, a family emergency, maybe they take a spill on their bicycle or something like that causes them to be, sorry, Janet, causes them to be out of commission for a couple of days or more. Well, it's like, depending on who that role is, that might be a key leadership role in your business. Well, you're not going to fill that role, even if you have a good job market. You're not going to fill that role. So, that's why it's important to have culture, because culture will continue the business moving, in the right direction, absence of that leadership. And hopefully, again, you can bring those people back.
Dempsey Weiss and Associates is a multi-line insurance agency successfully meeting the insurance and financial needs of the landscaping, business contractor, and agricultural community in southern New Jersey and southeastern Pennsylvania since 1989. To learn more, visit us at www.dempseyweiss.com. J Faith Hair Studio, centrally located in southern New Jersey. J Faith Hair Studio is the place to go to become the best version of yourself. Confidence in your appearance is always important, and a great hairstyle is an absolute necessity. Visit jfaithhairstudio.com to book your appointment today.
The other challenge for the leaders in those businesses, though, is that, you're the one everybody's looking to kind of manifest that culture, so it's critical that you live out, what that culture, needs to look like. So it can, it can be a bit challenging at times because you don't always feel like stepping up to the plate in that capacity, but you really do need to do that. So yeah, culture is just a critical piece, to this whole process. And then for those, go ahead.
I'm just thinking about diving a little bit more into culture and what it really means, because it can be a little confusing in business, right? Because we should have a mission statement. We have a handbook, at least we do. And then, culture, what does culture mean? How do you establish culture in your business? I mean, should we break it down a little bit more?
Sure.
Because we said that, workplace culture is the key to a healthy business. So how do you establish culture in your business, Dad?
Well, it's interesting because I think a lot of it just has to do with you setting, the pace of that. You walking out every day and how you communicate your words, how you operate. I mean, if in our culture, I expect, my expectation is for us to be on and ready to go, each and every day. Well, I need to be on and ready to go each and every day. I have to set that pace and because again, if I can say what I want, but if I'm not walking that out, then it's not going to take hold. People need to see what I'm saying in action,
right?
Or what you're saying in action. So, culture is, depending on the business. I mean, our business highly customer service driven, a lot of interaction with clients. So our culture is, we certainly want to have a highly competent, knowledgeable customer service team. So, that means that, I need to be able to be highly competent, and pursue growth in my own life because I'm expecting people to grow in our organization. So it could be as simple as making sure that, that every phone call gets that if it has to go to a voicemail, gets a return phone call, by the end of that day, that we don't leave someone, even if we don't have an answer, we don't let somebody linger 24 hours to the following day. So, I mean, there's just a lot of different ways, again, depending upon the business on what your culture, would look like. Taking a phone call in the middle of a podcast.
Trying to be all hands on deck, multitasking. These are all the things we're expecting other people to, or needing other people to do as well.
Well, the other thing too, and we can come back to that when Jen's ready, but the other thing, depending on the business, is, in this job market, it also might be time to think innovation. It might be thinking, what do we, how do we need to do things differently? I mean, we just simply can't compete maybe in that job market. So maybe we need just to do things differently. Maybe we need to look at technology that's going to help me not have to hire as many people. We were talking about the, McDonald's, anticipating $15 an hour minimum wage. So they've retooled all their restaurants to shrink the number of employees and use kiosk, so that they can, ultimately go to $15 an hour, but not have to raise the price of a Big Mac to $7, or something like that. So, so just be thinking innovatively, maybe in my case, maybe that means I'm looking at maybe more of a virtual type of employee. Maybe I don't need to have someone working in my building all the time. I can look at someone who can work, from a virtual perspective. So that opens up a whole universe of people now because of technology. So I might say, we need someone to work, these hours, and we can find someone in Michigan, who's able to do that from their home and work that. And the technology allows that. The customers don't know that they're dealing with someone in Michigan.
Right.
But now it opens up more of an employee, or staffing opportunities, because there's this, this person who's just looking for this particular type of number of hours and time of day and that type of thing. So it just, technology really has opened things up for us too. So I just jumped over there, Jen, while you were busy, but if you want to come back to culture.
I'm sorry, guys.
That's all right.
Multitasking at its finest. But so I wanted to ask Stace, because, different kind of business, but business just the same, nonprofit. I mean, can you give us some examples from your point of view about how you uphold culture? What does culture mean for you? And how do you, what if you have someone who is not in line with your culture? What, do you have any repercussions or conversation or coaching on that?
Yeah, in the nonprofit world, it's a little bit different, I think, from just the standpoint of we live and die by our mission. There's a cause, and it is what everyone is living and breathing every single day. And at least in our scenario, the staff is, it's a smaller staff. They literally work physically side by side every single day, and they are, they're sharing in the push and the pull of getting things done, because again, there is this mission to feed seniors in Salem County, and everything revolves around it. Every single thing, whether it's from planning a fundraiser to getting a new referral, to additional funding, to even freeing up additional time for the executive director to be able to write more grants. Every single thing is around that. And so when there's a win, it's a win for the whole team. And if there is a loss, everybody feels that the very same. So, but as far as the culture, our culture is, it is solely based off of what our mission is. And whether it is, I could say, whether it's a staff member or a board member, that is what we have come to say is not acting in the spirit of our organization. And so that could be, well, I'm not going to give as much money this year because I'm not going to, quote unquote, get credit for it. Well, that's not in the spirit of our organization. You should be giving because that's what you want to give to the organization, whether you receive credit for it or not. And so I think, certainly if, someone in our organization is clearly being very biased against someone that's being referred into our organization that has the need, or whether it's, working with someone on the staff, it's not in the spirit of our organization. And so it's fairly easy, I should say, to kind of identify those things as they come up. And, I think even too in our and Dempsey Weiss, there's certainly been times where, actions have resulted in, it's not in the spirit of our organization. This isn't how we allow things to, this isn't how we allow things to unfold. And so it's kind of easy to identify those things, just like, you kind of feel the ebb and flow of the people that you work with, even in your salon, Jen. Then if someone's just not in the spirit of your organization, it's really going against your culture. It's going against the culture that you've established. And like, Dad said, you're setting the pace for all of that. You're setting the tone, by what you're doing day in and day out. And when it goes against the grain of that, well, then that's not clearly a part of our culture. It's not going to be a good fit. So maybe a little bit different in the nonprofit world, but we live and die by the mission. But even in our own businesses, we live and die by,
amen,
what we're trying to get accomplished every single day. And if someone's not leaning in and helping us to move that forward, then it's probably a pretty good indicator that they're not a part of the culture that we have already established.
Right.
And even for, I think, even new business owners, I think you might not have it all mapped out. You might not have it all written down, but I think everybody has a sense of what they want their culture in their business to be. And so they start right from the get-go, just by, how they work with vendors, how they work with clients, how they, greet, someone when they walk in the front door. I mean, and those are the things that just happen day in and day out, that kind of set the culture for what your business is. So,
hey, I came up with a great cultural statement for J Faith Hair Studio while we were sitting here talking. You want to hear it?
Yeah,
sure.
Yes. Every client, every team member, every time, all the time.
I love it.
So, meaning that when you share that with your team members, that, we want every client to feel extremely welcomed by every team member, every time, all the time.
Love it.
I love it.
And that's a cultural, again, that's, certainly you can build that into a mission statement, vision statement, but from a cultural perspective, now all of a sudden it's like, all right, and quite frankly, you post that, maybe people's, you want your team members to see that, so that they know that's the culture we want. And you guys do that because I've been in the studio. So, I hear other stylists walking by, a stylist working with a client and they're finishing up, and the other stylist will say, wow, that's beautiful, or you look great, and so those, again, that's the kind of stuff that, people, or your, another cultural thing is that, we support each other's work. We compliment each other's work. When I walk by, Jen, great job. That was beautiful. So, so again, those are the kind of things that begin to get ingrained into your team, and then people see that, and it's just a very positive perspective.
Well, I love it. And I'm happy that we're talking about this because it's definitely something that I personally have been focusing on. And this is what I love about entrepreneurship, growing a business, growing with your business, because let me reassure you that 5 years ago, I was definitely not thinking about culture or in the way that I am now, right? You grow with your business and you start to figure out like, okay, this is, of course, these past 5 years, I show up and people look at you and use you as an example as the owner, right? So how you show up, how you speak, what you do, how you look, they're going to mimic that. And so as I start to focus really on number one, what culture means and what kind of very clear standards of culture inside of my business. So I just want to give you guys a few examples of what culture means to us, and really what we focus on. Just standards, right? Like our business standards. We're talking about, appearance standards, right? So dress code, we've changed it to appearance standards. You like it better like that?
Yes.
Dad, Mr. High Class, right? I got new shampoo bowls, so you can't tell me nothing right now. I feel like I'm in New York City. So instead of dress code, verbiage is changing over time, right? Elevate our verbiage. So appearance standards, we're talking about guest relationships, what we expect when you're dealing with your guests, what kind of amazing customer service. Masters of redirection, right? You have to remember that we're having a lot of conversation. The best place to have conversation is inside of the hair salon, but we want to encourage some of those danger zones, workplace relationships, and then no second chances, right? So making it very clear with your team, just, where your horizon is, what you expect from them, very clear. I've said it over the years. I'm going to actually put it on paper now, where I'm going to have my team sign it. So very, very clear expectations, standards that we have for our business, and non-negotiables, really. So for example, theft, lying, tardiness, blatant disrespect, those are the things that we're just not going to tolerate. We're not going to have a conversation. We're just going to uninvite those people from our company. Very, very simple. So, having clear expectations from your team, and upholding your culture is so, so, so important. I've seen such a huge difference within my business. And talking about what happens when people go against your culture. Sometimes it's a coachable moment, right? Because sometimes people need to adjust to your culture. Like, oh, they're a little bit too positive in here. I have to level up my positivity game. And then just figuring out where, I can't have toxic people coming from my culture because I've worked too hard for it. So very fine line, very important. Go ahead, Dad. When he leans in, he got something.
That's right. That's my signal. So, yeah, I mean, and what you said was very good there regarding, promoting the culture and reinforcing the culture. And I think that one of the best ways to do that is in the moment. We do this. I mean, a lot of businesses do this. You do your annual employee reviews or quarterly reviews or both. But there's nothing more effective that in the moment when you see one of your employees or one of your team members, carrying out your culture, in a very meaningful way, recognizing them right in that moment goes a long way to really, first of all, people see it because try to do it in front of others. It's like recognize in public, reprimand in private, but try to recognize. So again, people say, oh wow, that was an reinforced moment of someone carrying out our culture in a very, very significant way. So try to do it in the moment when you can. So that's helpful.
I love it. I agree. And I'll add to that real quick. I might be, behind the 8 ball here a little bit, but we started a Facebook group with everyone that just works in our business. So instead of those late night text messages, right, we took it to Facebook. And, we're in the middle of our 6th annual fundraiser, and one of our team members made a link on Amazon saying, hey, this would be great. People can just go to Amazon, buy book bags, send it right to the salon, send their donation right to us. And I jumped on there like, wow, way to take initiative, way to make our culture better, way to make things easier. Thank you for thinking outside of the box. Yes. And, those are the type of things that you really don't want to let slide because for whatever reason, I didn't think of that. So,
that's really a perfect example. What what I just said. Yeah, perfect example. Good stuff.
Awesome. Such a good conversation today. Just so many, I mean, I didn't even get a chance to say Nugget Alert because y'all just kept it rolling and just hit us with a whole bunch of Nugget Alerts. So maybe we'll be able to find a couple in there. Well, Jack and Jennifer, thank you so much for just sharing your wisdom, honestly, with our listeners today. Hopefully you all have found some nuggets in our conversation today. So we do want to remind all of our listeners that you can contact us at twodaughters, that's TWO, twodaughters and their dad at gmail.com with any questions that you would like for us to answer directly on our podcast. We would absolutely love that. And we want to just thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for being our listeners. Please remember to share us. Don't keep us a secret. We're available on all major platforms, and we appreciate you all very much. So we can be together again. Be safe, be kind to each other, be kind to yourself. Bye-bye. We want to thank you for listening today. Please subscribe so you never miss an episode. Leave us a positive review. And we want to say thank you to our sponsors, Dempsey Weiss & Associates and J. Faith Hair Studio.